Greetings, sending all some warm, positive vibrations. So, literally, just finished washing my hair. Oh, it's so refreshing. And I was just sitting there, allowing the water to stream down over my head and just thinking quietly. How often do you all do that? Does anyone else use the shower as an opportunity to just be quiet and to listen to your own thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. So today I'm going to be drying this fine hair, and as you can see, I just got out of the shower. Whatever the porosity is, I get confused sometimes whether it's high or low. However, I do know that water sits on top of my hair, and I can see it very clearly because there's no products in it. So we're gonna have a chit chat and we'll see how long it takes my hair to dry. I'm going to dry it with a towel and allow it to air dry. So it's fine hair, there's no oils, there's no butter. Very easy. I'm into the ease and relaxation, and so I call this freedom hair. I'm not twisting. I've chosen not to do any of that because I prefer to have my time free for the garden and other things. So we're gonna have a chit chat also about something I was thinking of as I was in that relaxing space of letting water cascade over my hair. And I was thinking about living in boxes. So if you're interested in this conversation, stay tuned and as we dry this very, very fine hair. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Body-Culinary, professional chef, personal trainer, natural born woman. Shout out to you, whatever your expression is. And on this channel, I love to share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance, really celebrating and appreciating the natural features that I have been divinely assigned while here on this earth plane, right? So not fighting against it, celebrating it, and finding what works for me, what's the perfect fit for me, which I have found is this. I'm calling it freedom hair. So I don't own Locs. We're all free to express how we like. So I'm sharing some of my journey. I also love to share on this channel 3 lifestyle practices that I have found to be really leveraged asset activities, and they give you something back for your time, especially time spent on the internet, which is a lot of time. And by the way, the internet in general is monetized. Our movements, how we shop, people or companies marketing things to us, so it is monetized. So those 3 lifestyle practices are peaceful consumption, food that loves you back, that your cells can still recognize as food, can still be very, very, very delicious. Also, check out the meal I just made was so divine. Peaceful consumption, cultivating or restarting and reactivating a personal movement practice, and garden therapy. These are 3 leveraged lifestyle activities that can ground you, support you, be a source of stress release and relaxation, that whether you are in a really small space, a tiny space, a medium space, a house, a room, everyone can grow something. Everyone can do a movement practice. I've worked with some folks that have lost quite a bit of weight over yeah, almost 100 pounds, right from a small space, and some other folks that are working on a really teeny tiny space. So I'd like to invite you to be encouraged that you can work with what you have, and to perhaps just retrain your eyes to look around at what it is that you do have to work with. After all, greetings. After all, if we see folks that are on lockdown in a prison get really, really buff bodies, and that's just a benefit. That's nice to have a buff body. And also, it's here first, and then everything else will follow. So there's a lot we can do with what we have, the resources that we have. So those lifestyle activities, peaceful consumption, garden therapy, and a personal movement practice will serve you long into your future, until your hair is white. Which, by the way, little reminder, you know that age is coming for us all, even with the best care, with whole, fresh living foods, with a movement practice. It is a fact of life. This was also something else that I was contemplating while in that relaxing shower. I was just thinking, it's really amazing how the undertone of messaging that we get is that age is something bad, it's something to be feared, it is something to be avoided. And a lot of the undertone of these messages, I'm more attuned to the undertone, and I make an effort to be quiet which we don't do so much in our earlier years on the planet. I've learned to watch the patterns and to observe to see if I can discern the undertone of what folks are looking to communicate to me and what is the intention of a communication. So, in any event, before we get into our conversation, and my hair is drying very, very quickly, and I'm going to just be blotting it with a towel. It literally just came out of the shower, and I squeeze it dry. So, I'd like to invite you to Fit Flower, Flower Fit, Fit Flower, coaching, life coaching and community. So there's a part of it that is just open to community. However, there is a link for an application so that you can be vetted to see who the person is for safety and for the intention of creating a safe space so we know who's there in this age of the internet. And also see if it's a match for you. It is really just about support, in particular, coming together around folks that have a desire, interest in leverage lifestyle practices, those being the garden, a movement practice, and peaceful consumption. You'll have to decide on what the ratio of the peaceful consumption, what that looks like for you, because it is an individual process and a journey. We're not here, I don't think, to shame ourselves or each other for how you wear your hair or your consumption practices. You're on a journey. And to create some kind of healthy space, I would even say to be protective of your psyche is very, very important, and your mental state. Emotional mental stability is really important and foundational, in particular in an age and an environment, even an internet environment of what I like to call triggeration. There are constant triggers that bypass logic and hit us in the main vein of our subconscious and drives a lot of triggered behaviors that often self-sabotage a lot of our best assets, a lot of our intentions and the goals that we have for ourselves. And we can look around and lose very easily 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of health or resources and mental emotional stability in ineffective decisions that are often triggered subconsciously by behaviors and fears, if that makes sense. Greetings, Landon. Greetings, Queen Race, and you also want positive vibrations. So you're welcome to look into that. My contact is info@body-culinary.com. And also, if you can't get to me, you can go right ahead online. There's a Google document so that you can fill out a waiver. At some point, we'll be doing some kind of movement together. There is a monthly coaching plan, and there's also some community classes that I'll be offering that will be donation based in an effort to cultivate community around specific leverage lifestyle practices. No gurus, not a martyr. I'm not telling grown folks what to do, especially those that haven't paid me. Just community around activities. I can't overemphasize that enough. Million women gardening and growing some luscious foods and herbs to luxuriate in, making your movement practice the best part of your day, and peaceful consumption. Simple, doable. Some of us may not realize how doable it is. And so, if you're looking for support to that end, there are several resources that are available to you. There is Natural Beauty No Products. That is a guide. That is a guide with all of the questions that you could ask me around whole, fresh living foods. And I'm eating it because that's the products. When people ask me about products, those are my products. As someone that was a junk food junkie, addicted to every kind of junk food, high end and low end, as well as someone that's had a lot of acne that comes from a family pattern of morbid obesity, and someone that has half of the thyroid that is responsible for regulating our metabolism. I already very clear on the trajectory, and I'm very intentional. I want to appreciate and enjoy my time in this body temple, all of the years and all of the phases of life. And I really am not interested in being manipulated by fear around being chosen or by the aging process, which is inevitable. So this is why I say it's very important to cultivate some type of awareness around how we are being triggered and to create a cocoon. I like to call it a cocoon and a safe hedge around your emotional, mental stability. And in a very real way, coming outside of our heads, your lifestyle practices can give you access to ease, relaxation, stress release, an internal shot of feel good chemicals and hormones without the need for narcotics and stimulants. So natural bodies matter over here. If you've got small tetas, rock them. If you've got full ones, rock them. We want to make sure that they're healthy, right? Because the ones that you have are the ones that you have. Inside Whole Living Foods in the Hood, there is a guide. People are looking for a guide, shopping lists, budgets, sample ideas of what could I possibly, what are some menu ideas for what I can make with all this produce so you don't have it rotting down inside the refrigerator. So there's Natural Beauty, there's Whole Living Foods in the Hood and Natural Beauty, no products. I put the food that I'm eating inside primarily is my product, and I also put it on my hair and skin. So I like to be able to feel my skin and run and play and sweat. So as a lifestyle, this is what works for me. Again, you'll find your own sweet spot. Hey, greetings, small TV. Sending you some warm, positive vibes of encouragement. Did you see that delicious meal? That was easy. I went right out in the garden, and picked some greens, and that is such a blessing and a little miracle. I didn't grow up in the country. I started out with microgreens in an apartment, and in jars and bags, and also make my own plant milk bag. So radical self-acceptance, that's what it's out about over here. It seems the more we resist things, that saying, and I don't care for all sayings. Some of them cause us not to think. But the more we resist something, I think I've found or observed subconsciously, the more it persists. The more we run from aging, the more actually we're focused indirectly on aging, the thing we're trying to avoid. Sometimes the more we're trying to diet and trying to run the fat and beat the adipose tissue, which is a technical term for fatty tissue, the more we're focused on it, I find the more it can make us feel kind of down. Whereas if I'm dancing or doing capoeira, I'm just having fun. I'm not thinking about fitness so much. I'm thinking about playing. And so being on a channel of play, of ease, of relaxation, of beauty in the garden, I find it's certain things are like a natural extension of the activity. It's almost effortless. So that's what I want to share and emphasize on this channel. So do feel free, and feel free if you're one of my Asian fellow human beings or one of my vanilla fellow human beings, chime in and let us know what kinds of practices that you have for ease and self care, and what you do to feel really comfortable and appreciate the body temple that you have. If it's fluffy, if it's voluptuous, if you have some scarring, which is like an imprint or fingerprint. I'm a mother, so I have stretch marks around my tummy from a baby. Your breast change shape. These things are natural. And I wonder if we consider, where does the internalized shame come from? Whereas to parent and to be able to sustain life from your own body is absolutely a miracle. And so the messaging I find that we're getting from outside, from a very young age, we start to accumulate layers and layers of internalized shame around our bodies. So I'm very intentional around celebrating the body temple, the vehicle that I have, making an effort. And I'm not superhuman. I can be triggered just as much as anyone else. However, I make an intentional choice to the best of my ability to become comfortable in my own skin. That is a choice, that is intentional, that is a practice. Maybe it's even considered a type of yoga. So I don't have the only share respectfully inside the comment section, because I don't have the only perspective. So anyway, I was just drying this hair. So let's just get to the hair real quick, because I'm all about the quickie with the hair. Get it out of the way so we don't have to consider it. All about the ease, because I'm not using any products except for an occasional shampoo. And what I'm doing, back in the day, I used to see people, especially on videos, wring the hair dry. So I think there are definitely some considerations to be mindful of, particularly if you have very, very fine hair, delicate hair, cottony, springy, coily, Afro textured hair. Some people call it 4C. I like to call it fine or Afro textured hair. So it behaves differently, right? So the cheaper shampoos definitely stripped cotton, definitely stripped this. I find that although I was raised with greasing and oiling my scalp feels fantastic with not a drop of oil. And I'm actually in listening to my hair and skin into my body. I'm just blotting it dry. I notice that I can feel when my hair needs to be cleansed. So I will use fenugreek, nopales, which I've shared a video on this channel, which is a cactus plant. Very easy to do, and just as mucilaginous as okra and also as aloe, and very thick and viscous and very inexpensive. I pull it right out from the yard. It grows very easily. Aloe, I have plenty of aloe that I started from one little piece, and there are hundreds of aloe out in the yard. That's also something. This is what I call my Afro-Flowonomics. Get you some. So these are just the ways of the mothers and the grandmothers that I'm very passionate about sharing. So that's in the yard. I can take that and try and, like my grandma say, cut off a piece like so, trim off the sides, scoop it out, eat it. Yes, bitter, no chaser. And then what's left over, I will rub that onto my skin. It's actually really good for tightening your skin. It's very soothing to your intestines. It's a top medicinal plant. So you have the aloe, we have the nopales, we have the fenugreek. I'm going to be trying some clove. And the fenugreek is actually another mucilage, very super duper inexpensive, and it's really good to be used internally and externally as a tea. It makes a really beautiful gel, and I like sometimes feeling how they feel on my scalp. So I'm not trying to slick down my edges. Gone are the years of the baby hair. If anything, instead of baby hair, when I'm sweating from a workout, you know how when you're sweating or you watch a baby when they're really, really hot and you get little ringlets? That's about all that's happening over here. You know, I've tried, I use a lot of flaxseed. I use a lot of chia seeds. These are all staples inside my consumption pattern. So I buy them in bulk, which keeps the cost down. And I like to think of channeling my grandma Lou and my grandma Mackie and my great grandma Jean, two of my great grandmothers. One, two, and my great grandmother? No, grandma, great grandma, and my other grandma, 94. So all of these women, I like to think, they didn't have money to waste, and if they bought one thing, they repurposed it and they maximized all the different things that they can do out of it. And I think these are common sense principles, and these are things that women that we love, you know, to do. And so on this path, I keep discovering more and more things I can do with the same things that I'm purchasing all the time. So this has been my lifestyle for years. It's not like a big health trend or anything. This is what our mothers and grandmothers did. My grandma Lou wasn't a vegetarian. However, she's my inspiration. She's one of my main inspirations for consuming healthily and being really, really creative. So you can learn from anybody in any kind of package, from any kind of culture, people that eat differently and pray differently than you. That's woman's perspective. So this hair is almost dry and it's feeling really good. It's been over 100 degrees. You've got maybe a couple of days of breaks, but this is like going on a couple of weeks now. So my bunnies are feeling really, really hot. So I need to make sure they don't get overheated. So if I go outside for a run now, which I've done before, this will be dry because it doesn't have the oil and the other stuff in it. And in feeling and listening to my hair, I'm feeling more the sebum on my scalp. So being that my hair is kind of a brown color, I'm just watching to see if it leaves a very, very slight gray cast, and just touching my hair to see, noticing the difference in how it feels. So if you've ever looked at any of the water washing channels, some of them will talk about sebum being a natural conditioner for your hair. So I've been really exploring that and listening to my body. Same way I will listen to my digestion. Do I still have dinner from yesterday or several undigested meals in my stomach? So we're moving sometimes at such a pace, and we're such an impatient rush. We want information. We keep compiling more information and more books, yet we're not in the process. We're not in our movement practice. We don't get in the garden. Many of us might even have pots, soil, garden tools might be sitting inside the shed or underneath your sink in a big tub for a couple of years, yet we haven't activated it. So that's really interesting, because I've observed a lot of what we do is a mentality, right? And I don't think my grandma and my grandmas were thinking that deeply. These are the resources that they had, and they stretched them. And I found my grandma Lou, she's up there, if not surpassing the Dalai Lama, because she was the most pleasant and present human being I have ever met, extremely comfortable in her skin, with her plaits, never saw with any makeup, and most of all, had the best attitude of anyone I've ever met on the planet. So she really left an impression on me from being present, not being distracted, having a sing song hum. I was like, how did she get to be like that? So she's one of my icons. You'll mention her a lot. And also in a world of, and I'm not making makeup bad or wrong, but in a world where I sense such an anxiety around not being chosen or being less, and all of this stuff around our esteem, you can see that it's not there. And it's not there if we don't get these products. My grandma Lou is just humming, moving on like an ant and hummingbird. So she stands out in contrast to most of the other people that I met. So I didn't sense the anxiety. Now, I haven't lived almost 94 years, so who knows what she experienced. However, how she showed up for me, just so pleasant and so appreciative, and had the same effect on so many other people. So she's one of my icons. She's one of my icons. So I'm just blotting this dry. It's almost dry, right? There's no dye in it. So if someone has asked me if I have dyed my hair, nope. I can just see the natural color. I do see some little grays popping up, and my intention is to embrace them because I'm just not with the chemicals. I'm not anything going next to my brain, my control center. As much as possible, I want to preserve my brain. I'm into the preservation more than frantically trying to buy $100 creams, and just I'm not really interested in mutilating and cutting off any of my body parts. Maybe perhaps with life or death, but for the most part, I'd rather leave with the parts that I came in with. I already gave up half of my thyroid. I'm good. I'm good on the surgeries and the other stuff. Prevention is better than cure, and it's also pleasant. So I'll take the food. I'll take my chances with the juicer and the plant milk bag. It's so much more of a pleasant experience. So just wash it with that shampoo. And here's the other thing I was thinking in that shower meditation. I was thinking like really interested. I mentioned two other women that do such an excellent job, that are so passionate around shampoos and essences and things that are really natural. And I've found one company that I'll use that is it's really excellent. It's an excellent product. So I was just thinking, I'm always thinking of Flowonomics, Afro Flowonomics. And being that this is such a unique DNA marker, I think it's such a area of opportunity for Afro women to secure ourselves, basically, and to think creatively to secure and cultivate an economy, not only for ourselves, but also for our daughters and children. Why? Because think of Avon, think of Mary Kay, think of Madam C.J. Walker, first Black woman a millionaire, right? Back then, and way back, they used to use concholine. I don't know if you know what concholine is. My great uncle talked to me about concholine. When they used to be into jazz and swing dance stuff, they used to take a potato and lie and make their own perm, which, oh my gosh, that's why it's so caustic. And to slick their hair back, and they would also use lard and recycled kitchen grease to slick their hair for certain styles. When they used to get presses and curls, that was the perm, back then. Can you imagine? Because I got scalp burns from a dark and lovely perm, and I can only imagine concholine. However, if we think of the entrepreneurship, and for Madam C.J. Walker to be a millionaire back then, there were some principles that she observed and that she was able to multiply. And also, if we think of Tupperware, Avon, Mary Kay, those were some of the first home-based businesses that I've seen of women in my community, women that were business-minded. They're the first things before water filters and Kenyan water systems, all the stuff. Those are the first businesses that I saw growing up. In addition to, I remember the ice truck man, the fish man, the fruit and vegetable man, somehow bringing vegetables from down south, fish, ice, watermelon, and the knife sharpener man that would roll their trucks through on the weekend. And sometimes my grandpa, who was raised in the South. You go downstairs to get his collard greens and turnip greens for Sunday. So those are, there wasn't all this talk of Black business, but those are the first businesses that I saw in my community. So the principles around business and entrepreneurship, it was just very natural. So I think that those principles are something that we can think of creatively. And I invite us to have more confidence and creativity, right? Because this is something that we have, yet the business for this hair, quite often we're purchasing hair from folks that have given up their hair. You can research this online in different ceremonies where they're cutting off their hair. I've heard some folks say cadavers. I definitely know of folks having religious ceremonies in India that cut off their hair and don't realize that their hair is being sold. And in Afro traditions, usually that's a no bueno. When somebody's cutting off something to cleanse it and throw it away, they don't want that energy on them. That's something that we're picking up out of vanity. And more so than anything, it's marketed to us. I also remember stories of my Auntie Joanne, of them telling us back in the day, they used to use horsehair. So my mother was telling me them, I think it was my Auntie Joanne, I have quite a few aunts, that the sew-ins, right? So we think of all the glue, the clip-in, the fronts. My aunties, they had hair sew-ins, and they would sew it, and they said their hair would itch profusely. So check that out. Let me know, have any of you ever spoken to any of your aunties or great aunts? Are any of you aware of horsehair as a sew-in for the ponytails? Let me know. I've also seen my Auntie Joanne, who is so beautiful. She's the first woman I saw with a beehive back in the day. And I saw her high school or junior high school picture. And I know it was so cute with a little light blue bow. And she had a cute white dress, white and light blue dress. And I was like, wow, I want that hairstyle. So I also remember seeing Michael Jackson at some point, and he was actually fine with his wide nose. And I remember the album cover when it changed. I don't know if it was Billie Jean. It was the one where he had the white suit on, and he was, he had, I think, some little tigers laying next to him. Now, keep in mind, I grew up watching the Michael Jackson cartoon. That was one of my favorite cartoons. I'm a Sesame Street kid. I had phonics. I was reading at an early age, Sesame Street and what was it? Wonderama with Bob McAllister. Do Wakadoo. I won't be aging myself. And then Elixir Company. So those shows, that was Channel 13. Shout out to Channel 13. I don't know if they're still around because I got rid of my television a long time ago. Now the computer is the TV. But that was quality programming. I got to see jazz, ballet. It was clean, educational stuff, politics, which I didn't even know what grown-ups were talking about. That was Channel 13 back in the day. I think that was the only channel that I remember having really good quality programming for children where I was actually learning how to read. Yeah, I was an avid reader through phonics on Sesame Street. It was excellent. LeVar Burton, that was in Roots, was always on there. Oh no, that was Reading. He was there, but he was also on Reading Rainbow. One of the best shows ever. Shout out to LeVar Burton. You remember that? Yes, it was. Where's Channel 13? Is Channel 13 still around? They used to do telethons all the time. Who grew up with Lou Rawls and the United Negro College Fund and Sammy Davis and them raising money for the United Negro College Fund? This is like old school. So anyway, we have this unique DNA marker. So I question how come. Now, there have been some change with the shea butter, and a lot more Afro women have created their own products. Now, some of them are inside of Target. Actually, I think one of the founders of Thank God I'm Natural just passed away. It was shared on social media. So I'm not sure who Shea Moisture is owned by. So anyway, it just got me to thinking, I definitely want to support those women, especially when it comes to quality products. And the two women I mentioned before, one raises flowers and distills the essences herself. Like there are certain women, and I have some coming. I have a podcast, I think, coming, because there's certain women I want to interview that are like masters. Like, I don't know if you have ever heard of the Natural Braiders Guild. There was a time where they wanted to make it so that you had to go to get a beauty school cosmetology diploma in order to do braiding, which is our culture. So there was a group of women that came together back in the day and formed the Natural Braiders Guild. So shout out to Talani Kennard, that wrote one of my favorite natural books called No Lie. And she also sang with Sweet Honey in a Rock. So I also feel like all these little nuggets, right, that are not being passed on, and so that the next generation or young women today would never know about any of these things. Also, Talani Kennard and her husband, who has passed now, ran for office, had a fantastic salon, and created the most beautiful micro braids you ever want to see. So I saved my money for years to go get my hair braided at her salon. Hopefully the women that she's trained, they're in Brooklyn. I have to shout them out. New Wave Cultural Creations. Oh my gosh, braids, locks. That was like a quality salon where your hair was still attached. She took her time to train these young women. So I don't think we hear, let me know. I don't think we hear enough about these things. And there was a whole style of braiding back in the days, these little teeny, tiny micro braid, and they were modeled after folks in Kemet, on the walls in Kemet, teeny tiny braids with these exquisite beads. You'll see Stevie Wonder on his old album covers with those long cornrows with the beads, where it was just exquisite. And so their hair was still attached to their scalp. They still had their hairline. Well, Stevie's kind of losing his hairline. He's elder, so. But back in the days, they braided. It's an art and a technique. And some of these women were into African dance, and they were also into the shakere. So there's some of our culture that's really not being passed down. I mean, I don't think it's still on. I love Reading Rainbow. Yes. I mean, Reading Rainbow or Barney. You tell me. I remember when they started doing some kind of digital something with the cartoons. I still remember when they had the Smurfs. That's more updated. And I remember one season, right? Every fall when school's about to start, they changed. Like they gave you this whole lineup, the trailers for the new cartoons that were coming, the new season, episodes of the cartoons. And I remember it used to be drawn, and at some point they switched over to digital. And I remember looking at the cartoon, I was like, what's wrong with their mouths? Like before it was drawn and looked very natural, they started going like this. And I was like, that's when I got turned off from cartoons. I was like, something's wrong with these cartoons. They don't look right anymore. And so even some of the characters like Barney, I don't know, I found them like, I don't know if I want to say scary, but something was off. Something in the context. I was like, the characters, they seem very oversimplified and kind of dumbed down. No offense to Barney lovers, another generation. But when I compare Barney with Sesame Street, the creativity, the same level of creativity wasn't there. The same amount of human interaction wasn't there. The multi-generational, it was just like the whole Teletubbies and stuff like that. I don't know. No offense to folks that have Teletubbies and Barney, but I just couldn't. I really didn't want to put that stuff in front of my son. I was like, bring back the Sesame Street. And I have to say, people may be really upset about this. I can be respectful in the comments. One of the best children's shows that I have ever seen was actually Little Bill. Okay, and brother did some stuff that's off. Yeah, but that programming was so one of the best, and the books were excellent. The representation of different ethnic groups in Little Bill, and then someone that is some years older than me put me on to a children's series that he done years ago. I think it was called I Spy. That was before my generation. And she's like, you know about I Spy? I was like, I don't know anything about I Spy. She pulled it up for me, and I was like, oh my gosh, the level of thought and education and program was astounding. I was like, I didn't know anything about this. So one thing I noticed initially when YouTube came on the scene, YouTube allowed me to look into some of my mother's old music and see the music videos, and to actually research and find things that are documented in one place. So that is a benefit of YouTube, Greetings, Mindful Nicole. She said it sort of looked demonic. Whatever it is, it just came across as very plasticky and very unnatural. So my eye is a little different. So it doesn't appeal to me. Again, just like I can appreciate a natural face of makeup, and I can even appreciate artistry. However, for my day-to-day life, it feels so unnatural, even to a certain degree with mascara. I like mascara. It's one of the makeup items that I like. If I look long enough in the mirror, and I do get from being apprenticing with a dance company, there's stage makeup, and then there's real life. So I actually like the way my features look. My eyes may not pop. I don't have stage makeup on, right? And so certain things are not distinct on the screen. However, going through a period, even as an adult, where I took off my mascara, I took off my earrings. This is just me as an experiment and sitting with myself. My eye got trained so that it's like I find myself saying, I like my own eyelashes. And in business and in travel, they tell you, well, I've worked jobs where I had to reapply makeup throughout the day, very, very long days. And I'm going to think when I leave this industry, I don't want to put any more makeup on, especially as someone that had a lot of acne and some of my other colleagues that had a lot of acne. One of my colleagues, she said she never let her husband see her without her makeup. And I thought that was interesting because she had beautiful, beautiful woman. She had a lot of acne, was very fit. We used to go to the gym when we were traveling. And I just thought it was interesting. I was like, wow, you never, she said, I never, ever, ever let my husband see me without makeup. And I'm thinking, like, that's too much work. That's too much pressure. So you mean to tell me I can't have a broken nail? I can't have stretch marks after I have the baby. I can't get a pimple. I can't go through the natural process. I can't, I'm not doing that. I can't. I can't. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And so that brings this hair is again, it's almost dry, right? I'm not brushing. The hair sometimes does grow away from the scalp, and I will just push it right in. So that's about the maintenance. I will push it right in so there's a bit of afro here at the root, and eventually it will mat together and they are all flat. So which brings me to something I was thinking about this morning is we're just living in boxes. Living in boxes. And I've thought about it before, but I was just really relaxing and thinking about it. And the shampoo brought me to that. While ideally I would love to and do, and would like to, I don't use a bunch of products, support those folks that are passionate and circle economics who are passionate about creating products that are designed for us and support their businesses. I was also thinking in terms of, I don't know if any of you have ever read Black Powernomics. I have coined a phrase I call Afronomics and Afro-Flowonomics, right? Us creating revenue and industry and economics to secure ourselves and our girls into the future so we don't have to be on the whole stroll, right? And leaving a legacy similar to Mary Kay, Tupperware, Avon, Madam C.J. Walker, built around our hair because it is an industry. It is a consistent revenue. It is a consistent industry of economics. So to recirculate that dollar, I also have thought that just because we have the same hair or we may eat the same, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have the same values. So let's say, for example, the shampoo, the one shampoo that I have, and actually I've had some people reach out to me about trying on their products. Shout out to you if you're watching. And as I used to, for a minute, I got a little, being super sensitive, maybe I felt a little, I don't want to say offended, but I was thinking, like, I don't use your products. Why would I sell your products? And when I look at the little teeny bottles of hair growth serum and great marketing, look very professionally put together, look really nice, the marketing, the Instagram page. But I was thinking these little teeny bottles of oil. And when I just think of I was like, what's bothering me? When I think about one of the reasons I let go of my shower caddy, because I felt like it was overwhelming. The pressure to have so much stuff, like too much clothes, even moving and traveling abroad, I felt chained to my stuff. It was so much stuff. So I can really relate to minimalism. I don't know if I would call myself a minimalist, maybe perhaps in certain areas. And I don't know if it's so much about the label as I like freedom. I like space. I like room to play. I like freedom in my body. I don't want to be weighed down by a whole bunch of stuff that I can't take off and I can't get rid of and I can't be myself and I can't have a pimple. I can't have a down day. That's jail. That feels like a jail. It's a mental jail. That's why I call this freedom, hair, and skin, self-determining. So if someone is not choosing me, is it personal or just like, it's not a match? So if you don't appreciate that's not even bad or wrong. People have their preferences. Guess what? I appreciate this, which is why I take the time to put love and care, tangible care, right? Growing up, I used to say to my mom, coming out of a religious background, how can you say that you love the Most High and we're doing 40-day consecration fast, yet everybody, no offense, is like really morbidly obese. I was like, that doesn't seem, and I even spoke to the pastor about it. I was like, this doesn't make sense. It's mostly women in the church, divorced women. I was like, it seems like there's like quite often depression connected with that, or it doesn't make us bad or wrong. But I was like, something is not being addressed here. How are we all unhealthy, or the population is unhealthy, and the economic and the health situation is not improving? Yet folks are here 6 o'clock prayer, Sunday school, um, 9 o'clock service, afternoon service, and sometimes the evening service. I was like, this is not adding up. And I see the pastor is living a whole nother lifestyle. His children are going to a whole nother school. Something is off here. And we didn't even acknowledge Genesis 1 to 9, but we're going on to all these other books. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not with doing things that don't make sense. This, although it may not be the most popular, makes sense to me. Ease and freedom and relaxation makes sense to me. To circulate the dollars in the industry that, you know, for this unique DNA marker, for us to be able to eat and flourish and luxuriate and build houses and homes and economy off of this, that just is so simple. It makes sense to have that legacy for our daughters, and to have braiding schools, and with hair care goes child care, right? In schools, it's the most natural extension. That makes sense. Does that make sense to y'all? It makes sense to me. It's so simple. When I'm talking about Afro-Flowonomics, the things that are part of the culture, whether it's the aloe, the nopales, the herbal teas that we're growing, right? If we have in other countries, they have cottage industries to sell their champagne, their grapes, their herbal concoctions. Then would it make sense to have cottage industries where we're raising the plants? So if you think of Black Powernomics, owning all vertical industry, owning all the aspects of, from the packaging to the cars that do the delivery, to the growing, to the marketing for it, right? So thus Afro-Flowonomics. And to be able to very naturally pass that on to our children and our girls and our women, so we can be secure, and we reach the phase of motherhood, we're able to relax and make better choices because we're economically secured, and the values and cultural mores are built right into our lifestyle. Isn't it simple? This seems so simple. So, I was thinking about that in terms of these companies approaching me with this little bottle of oil versus a big giant bottle of olive oil, or there are coconuts all around me. I press my own coconut cream with the plant milk bag and coconuts. People make coconut oil and kahuna oil here all the time because it's on people's land. So would I not support another company because it's not Black? I don't know. That's a box. That's a box. And so I don't know that we as humans, especially as Afro women, there's a lot of pressure. This is just one woman's perspective. If it doesn't resonate, please leave it right here. I don't know that we need any more boxes. I don't know that we need another religious box. I don't need that we need another dietary box. Vegan, vegetarian, like these are the labels that we can ego trip on, and they can easily become divisive. And I think we could even in being very idealistic, which can leave us very vulnerable to being scammed, holding on to an ideal about who we want a person to be or what we want something to be rather than what it is. Because as women, we have a tendency to hold on staunchly to the idea of something. So for me to hold on to the idea, I love the idea of Afronomics and Afro-Flowonomics. However, for many of us, that's not our reality. We don't have, we're not speaking one language other than English. We don't have a military. There's a lot that we don't have. So I like to focus on what we do have. But the reality is we don't have that. And there's no guarantee that just because I'm patronizing the company that I have something for them to patronize, right, in terms of cycling the dollar, or that should I not use something else because it's not Black. I think could be cutting ourselves off. So no one can make those personal decisions for us but us, right? And to use our own discernment. I don't know that we need more boxes around how you want to identify yourself. It seems the more we're trying to do something original, the more we're doing the same thing, creating more labels and divisiveness, yet the inside hasn't changed, right? The form and the substance and the packaging seems to change on the outside, yet the essence of it is still there. Whatever you want to call yourself, however you want to identify, responsibility and accountability, I think, and aging and natural life processes seem to level the playing field for us all. Whether you have money to get alterations, you're not, you're going to age, and everybody levels the playing field. It's everybody's going to expire in this life as we know it. These are my contemplations in the garden and in the quiet in the shower. So in any event, I just came for a chit chat. I'm about to go into the garden and let the sun dry the rest of this. So if you're celebrating some holidays, happy holidays to you. I like to celebrate life on a daily basis. Feel free to make use of this channel and cutting up your vegetables if you want some company as you're cutting up your vegetables, stretching and decluttering, which is also a great lifestyle practice, or maybe perhaps even as you're doing laundry and hanging your laundry. I invite you to create support for yourself. I find it is very, very useful in Flowah Fit coaching. Women are sharing their meals, sharing their gardens and their inspiration. That's how I want to come together around specific activities where you're getting something back for your time. Well, it's not just a club, perhaps, of us chit chatting. We have a lot of that. However, what you have tangible to show for the investment of your time and your attention, which actually are a form of currency. So sending all some positive vibrations, Mindful Nicole. I can't wait to hear about your bicycle seat cover, or let's see, between you and Queen Ra, the plant milk bag, whichever one of you are getting it. Please take a pic and let me know how you're using it. And I think we're going to be using it more on this channel. Queen Ra, I was trained by a woman in Cali to learn sister locks in my early 20s. It was a great experience and spent all day in the salon for hours to learn. And after you had my own clientele. Queen Ra, are you still doing sister locks? One of my besties did sister locks before it was ever really popular. She had the most beautiful sister locks I have ever seen. And so that's a great example. Dr. Joanne Cornwell, she was very smart in trademarking sister locks. And so many other things have grown out of it. But I remember years ago, it wasn't even popular, where someone else had gotten sister locks and they had brought the videos to where I was working, and she just had the whole thing laid out. So she was definitely, have to give her credit for being a visionary. And that's exactly the principle that I'm talking about when I think of Afronomics and Afroflowonomics, creating an industry and an economy around this unique DNA marker. It serves, I'm really into the leverage activities that serve so many purposes at one time: culture, value, morals, mores, and also very importantly is economics. Economics, being able to secure ourselves. With the security comes a comfort and an ease, and we can make better life decisions when we have a way to secure ourselves, basically. So shout out to Carolyn Shepard, always positive energy, and Small TV, and Landon Price, and Queen Ra Bay. Let me know, are you still doing sister locks? Because that's definitely a skill. And I really like sister locks. There's not many people that I would let touch my hair. And also again, it's another option for folks, women with very fine hair, because it's so light with no products. You're able to style it and it's just very light. It's just the thing with sitting inside the salon. And then it's also the price investment. So definitely a lot of corporate and professional women, I think maybe even this Supreme Court judge, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like she had sister locks or some micro locks. But I always want to be able to maintain my hair myself. That's part of what freedom is like for me. So let's say let me see, have I experienced somebody over here with sister locks? No, but another, a friend of mine, we were traveling overseas, and she had sister locks. And most of the women that I know that have even gotten their daughters to get sister locks eventually get trained in how to do them for themselves as a business, and also for the convenience, and also to balance out the cost, right? So that's exactly the principles that I'm thinking of with Afronomics and Afroflowonomics, which I've trademarked, by the way. So some other things that are coming up. So I'm inviting you all to create a great day on purpose, and just encourage you to feed yourself the most beautiful, water-rich, nutrient-dense, life force, vitality filled fuel that is available to you to preserve and to rejuvenate your hair and skin. Why spend all this money on these products and eat things that are drying, that your cells, it's a part in your mouth, yet your cells can't recognize it as fuel. I have 2 kids. Now I retired from hair after 10 years, but I will do locks to locks. Take forever to maintain. That's interesting. That's good to hear, Queen Ra. I hear that. So even, it's still a legacy. That's a skill, another leverage activity. Maybe we'll talk more about that on our next chat, or maybe perhaps we'll open up some other conversations. There was actually some other things I was thinking about. I don't even want to be on here because it's already been 50 minutes and I got some chores to do that will open some of these conversations up on Flowah Fit in the community. So let me know if you're interested, because there's definitely some conversations or definitely some things I think perhaps some folks have asked me that some young women could benefit from, in terms of asking some questions that could perhaps save a lot of time. Again, I don't tell folks what to do. Yeah, I often think, before I get off here, I just often think about women in our particular role, right? I think in general about the victim narrative, right? Where things have happened to us, yet a disempowering conversation, particularly when it comes to parenting and life decisions, before the young one, before you decide to put yourself in an environment or at risk for having children unintentionally, what that means for those human beings. What does that mean for them? That was something I think deeply about that all the time. And what can we do to secure that not only do we have a pleasant experience, and that we set these human beings who we say we want to parent, that we set them up for success, not just financial success, emotional and mental and economic success. That's a conversation that is always on my mind, or quite often. As women, what can we do so that we don't ever have to be in those so-and-so clinics? Prevention is much better than cure, because with the prevention, how much resources, how much heartache, what kind of healthier human beings could we have with avoiding that scenario altogether? And I get there's different reasons and a whole narrative of why. However, at this point, in terms of strategy, it would behoove young women to get really clear on that, because we can't change other people, right? However, for us to get really clear on that, we can avoid a lot and set a trajectory for our lives where we're able to secure ourselves, and should we choose to have children, because we have boys and girls, to secure them and set them up for success, mental, emotional, and economic success, as well as whatever their life purpose is. So us being very intentional around parenting and not putting ourselves in harm's way. It's a huge conversation. You can also let me know what y'all think about that. So my hair is a little damp, just about dry. Inviting you to create a great day. Thanks for the idea. I'm trying to leave my 9 to 5. I hear you. So that's another conversation also. I think, that's a whole nother conversation. The realities of that. Neither of them is right or wrong. This is where perhaps strategy could come into play. And it's a lot we're trying to figure out in our teens, our 20s, sometimes even in our 30s, right? Because we're told to go this path and this trajectory, right? College doesn't also necessarily tell you about business. And even if you're studying business, doesn't always prepare you, for the realities of life. We're all team freedom here over here. All right, y'all. Y'all create a great day, and I will see you soon. Like, comment respectfully, subscribe if you like. See you soon.